What if Jesus never existed? That's a bold claim some people make, a question that cuts to the heart of everything we believe. But imagine finding a pile of letters from people who knew your grandfather, describing his life in very vivid details. You wouldn't doubt he was real, right? Well, today we're digging into the evidence inside the Bible and beyond that proves Jesus walked this very earth. This isn't about blind faith, it's about facts. Let's see what history reveals. So, how do we know Jesus actually lived? It's a question worth asking, as I said before. Some say he's a myth, a figure dreamed up to inspire us, or some grand conspiracy where the gospel writers came together and said, hey, let's just make all this stuff up. More on that later. But let's take a look at what we have step by step. First, let's look at the Bible itself, specifically the New Testament. It's not just one story. It's a collection of accounts from different people who saw Jesus with their own very eyes. Let's take a look at Luke chapter 1, verses 1 to 4, ESV. Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of the things that have been accomplished among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses delivered them to us. I too carefully investigated everything. Luke's not spinning tall tales here. He's tracking down witnesses to write down history. He even anchors it in time and places. Take a look at Luke chapter 3 verse 1. It says, John the Baptist preached in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, when Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea. These are real people, real dates. And then let's look at 1 John chapter 1:1. That which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, our hands have touched, this we proclaim. John saying we didn't imagine him. He was with flesh and bone. Peter doubles down in 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 16. We did not follow cleverly devised stories, but we were eyewitnesses of his majesty. Let's look at Paul. Paul, writing just 20 to 25 years after Jesus in the AD 50s, says in Galatians chapter 1 verse 18 to 19, he met Peter and James, quote, the Lord's brother. Think about that. You don't have a brother if you never existed in the first place. Yes, Catholics, for example, don't think that James was the Lord's actual brother, but based on Greek, he could have been a close relative or a cousin. Never mind that. We're going to go with what this says right now. Anyway, if you didn't live, you didn't have a brother, whatever. Most figures from antiquity don't get one biography, but Jesus had 4 and letters, all within decades of his life. That's not how myths work, right? Let's keep going. Okay, so you're like, yeah, that's the Bible, but no, I need something different. I need some secular historian, someone who doesn't have any stake in the game or any stake in Christianity, but they gotta talk about Jesus too. Okay, I got you. I got a couple for you. Bear with me. This is only a very short video. Let's look at Flavius Josephus, Jewish historian from around AD 93. He wrote Antiquities of the Jews. He mentions James, the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ. Okay, executed in Jerusalem. All right, like I said, Josephus isn't a believer. He's just doing what a good historian does, reporting what happened, keeping your opinion out of it, just the facts. That's what he did. That's what a historian does. Also, what else did he say? He also notes that Jesus was a teacher, crucified under Pilate. That's one. Okay, one more. No, I got three more for you, I think. Tacitus, Roman historian, AD 116, wrote about Nero blaming Christians for Rome's fire. What does he say? He says, Christus suffered the extreme penalty, crucifixion, at the hands of Pontius Pilate during Tiberius' reign. Tacitus despised Christians. He wasn't with us. He called our faith a mischievous superstition. Does that sound like someone's going to be writing something to support Jesus? Nah, I don't think so. So, bottom line is, my man isn't propping up a lie. He's not with it. Okay, that's number two. Number three, Pliny the Younger, a Roman governor from around AD 111. He wrote to Emperor Trajan about Christians singing hymns to Christ as to a god. That's about 80 years after Jesus walked the earth. And they're already worshiping him across the empire. Myths don't necessarily work like that. Oh, okay, here's one more. Dude named Suetonius, another Roman historian, AD 120. He mentions unrest in Rome at the instigation of Christus. Yes, I said Christus. Chrestus. Very likely misspelling of Christus. So he tied early Christians to all of that. One small one. Even the Babylonian Talmud, centuries later, references Yeshu. Yes, that's right, Yeshu. Hanged on Passover Eve for sorcery, and that's as hostile as you can get. Yeah, all of that is hostile. Every single thing that I listed. But guess what? It still assumes he existed. There isn't any ancient critic, not a single one, that claimed Jesus never lived. They attacked him for what he did, not if he was real. Same question every episode. Why does this matter? Because if Jesus lived, his life isn't just a story. It's history with eternal weight. Let's look at John chapter 1, verse 14. It says, "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us." He didn't stay distant up in the heavens. He entered into what? He entered into our mess. That means the cross wasn't a fable. It's where he took our sin. Let's look at what Paul said. Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 17, "If Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile," or futile if you like to speak like Captain Picard. If he wasn't raised, your faith is futile, pointless. But he lived, he died, he rose, and history backs that first step. And that's the foundation of the gospel. No, Jesus isn't just some legend. He ain't a myth. He's our Savior. What do we do with all this information that we got? First, you, I, all of us need to be confident, because you're going to run into someone that says, "Hey man, get out of here. Jesus was a myth, is a myth, was a myth, whatever." None of that matters, because you've got solid ground. Eyewitnesses in the Bible, historians outside the Bible like Josephus and Tacitus. You don't need to shrink back and hold and coddle in fear because of some non-believer atheist came at you with that mess. No. You got solid ground. Also, you got Bible verses like, "You walk by faith, not by sight." We have faith in this, even though we haven't seen any of it. Remember that verse. So, second, dig deeper. Pick up the Gospel of Mark. My Bible was over on the table. Pick up the Gospel of Mark. It's short, direct, kind of action-packed, and it shows Jesus as a real person that walked the earth. Another tip about that: read it like a biography, not like a sermon. Read it like a biography and not a sermon, and tell me what do you see in the comments down below. Third, let it all sink in. If he lived, he's not some far-off idea. Look at Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. He says, he sympathizes with our weaknesses. Why? Because he faced them too. I'm not a big fan of the Jesus He Gets Us commercials, but they have one point. Jesus does get us. He's God after all. He understands our struggles. He understands our doubts and can handle them because he was here, because he's God, and because God knows everything. Now, some might say, well, couldn't these stories have been exaggerated, right? Fair question. But look at the consistency. We've got multiple accounts, Christian and non-Christian, people who don't care about Christians if we live or die. But they all align on the basics. Then you have Jesus' followers. Didn't just talk about him. They died for what they saw. They died for what they believe. Guess what, folks? Liars don't lie for lies. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to go and be hung upside down on a cross, be stoned to death, thrown off a cliff, whatever, for something that I know is not true. Liars don't do it. All of it is trust based on evidence. So when doubt creeps in and the world pushes you back, you can stand on this. Jesus was real, and that changes how we live. So here's the bottom line. Jesus lived. The Bible's eyewitnesses and history records Jesus, Tacitus, Pliny, leave no doubt. He's not a myth. He's not a legend. He's a man. He's God who stepped into history to save all of us. I got a challenge for you. Don't stop here. Look at the evidence yourself. Ask hard questions. And when you see it's true, let that move you to trust him, to follow him. And if this has stirred you, leave a comment below. What's one question you still have? Leave it down below. Or email questions@thewordwalk.com, or hit me out on Twitter or Instagram @thewordwalk. Subscribe if you haven't, and share this with someone who needs it. Let's keep walking in the truth together. I'm Ty. May God bless your steps wherever you go.